Reading is from chapter 9. Becky Kay adjusted her seat, cleared her throat, and started speaking. It was Saturday morning when the trouble began. Oh, my Lord, that was only just yesterday, wasn't it? It was. Ain't that right, Harness? George asked. It was. Now let Becky Kay speak, George, Harness said politely. Becky Kay took a deep breath and began again. See, Saturday is when me and Judy boy here, Becky Kay said, reaching for the blind cat, usually go riding around the outer parts of the Walmart parking lot so he can practice his driving. Jude drives the RV around the Walmart parking lot? Brother Billy asked incredulously. Well, it'd be irresponsible of me to let him drive on the highway, Brother Billy. He's blind. Becky Kay, that still ain't a good idea, George said. What if he got stopped by the police? He ain't got no license. Don't interrupt, George, Harness admonished. Why don't you just keep telling your story, Becky Kay? Brother Billy said. All right, then. Anyway, when we got home, there's Roy. You never met Roy, Brother Billy. He came after my next to last husband, Shorty. Though I guess it wasn't fair of me calling him that since all my husbands were short, wiry, and looked about the same. Anyway, Roy was sitting in his recliner, drinking his light beer and smoking a cigarette. He didn't look quite right to me, so I says to him, You feeling okay? And he says, Oh, I'm feeling real good. And I says, Is that a fact? And he says, Yeah, that's a fact. So I let him be and went into the kitchen to get me a Diet Coke. Then it dawned on me that none of my kitties come out to greet me when I got home. So I went back in the living room and I says to Roy, Where are all my cats? And he says, How should I know? It was then that Marguerite, she said, pointing to the chicken roosting on the railing overhead, flew down from the top of the pantry door onto my shoulder and started screaming bloody murder. I knew something was wrong because Miss Marguerite's not the kind of chicken to throw a hissy fit. So I says, Marguerite, where are all the kitties? In answer to my question, Marguerite jumped off of me and onto the piano where I had 2 framed pictures of Roy setting. I only ever keep the pictures of the man I'm with at the time on display, Brother Billy, Becky Kay added parenthetically. So I says to Marguerite, What's this got to do with my kitties? And she goes over and takes the small photo of Roy in her beak and flings it onto the floor. And I says to her, Are you saying what I think you're saying? And to make her point, she walks over to the other end of the piano and knocks the other photo of Roy onto the floor just as hard as she can. Then Roy says, Damn that chicken. And I knew he'd done what he'd always threatened to do. So I looked him in his eyes real steady and I said to him, You're a dead man, Roy Odom. I'm getting my gun. When I got to the bedroom door, he was right behind me, moving fast, hollering at me, You better not get crazy or the same thing's going to happen to you. It was then that Chuck Buttons, my other blind kitty, she said, pointing to the napping orange cat, who has the habit of sleeping under the bed, come out moving this way and that until he got himself behind Roy's feet. Chuck put out his paw and clawed the heel of Roy's right slipper, and Roy come tumbling down head first onto the sharp bedpost. I knew it was bad on account of Roy just laid there on the floor, not saying a word or moving so much as a finger. I'm sure I saw him breathing, but now I'm so scared that I'm starting to doubt myself. I pulled him into a sitting position on the floor and I yelled, Roy! But he didn't answer. Then I tried pinching him, but that didn't work either. Oh my God, Brother Billy, what if he was dead? She shouted as the possibility became real to her. Let's take it one step at a time, Brother Billy said calmly. What did you do next? Lord, I sure could use a Diet Coke right now, Becky Kay said. Harness quickly grabbed a Diet Coke from the refrigerator and handed it to her. She pulled the tab, sipped, closed her eyes for a moment, and took a deep breath. Upon opening her eyes, she said, I called 911 and give them the address. Then I grabbed Chuck, Jude, Marguerite, got us all in the RV and headed out. That's what happened, Brother Billy. Chuck only meant to slow him down long enough for me to get my gun. It was an accident. He didn't mean no harm. Chuck's not a violent cat. I guess I should have gone to the police and told him the whole story. I guess I should have stayed with Roy. But I was afraid if I told him what happened, or if Roy told him when he come around, they'd take Chuck away. Brother Billy didn't quite know what to make of the whole thing, but he found himself believing every word of it, since he knew the kind of person Becky Kay was. And as the saying goes, you just can't make this stuff up.